So guys, let's go for the next command, which is surface from 2 or 3 or 4 edge curves that we call it edge surface. Check this out, Edgesrf. So it is known by edge surface. But what does it do? It creates a surface from 2, 3 or 4 open curves. As you can see that we should specify or select 2 or 3 or 4 open curves. In other words, by using 2, 3 or 4 sides of a geometry or a curve, we can have a surface. And this command gives us untrimmed surfaces. So it is considered one of the most proper commands that creates untrimmed surfaces. Let us talk about it more and check the details. For instance, here, assume that here we got 2 lines or 2 curves like these by this way, and then I move one of them upwards. I make it 3D to form it. It is no planar, it is not planar no more. Then I start the command of edge surface. If you wanted to type it in the command line, you can type ed edge surface. By this way you can start the command and then just sketch a window and then click enter. Then it connects these 2 curves that we will have our surface, which is untrimmed. But if we wanted to create a surface by using 3 curves, the point here is that the 3rd edge or the 3rd curve should be the complement of the surface or the curve. It should continues the 2 other sides or curve or edges. Or if you want to sketch the 4th edge, it should complete the other edges. So you will have a geometry with 4 edges or 4 sides. For example, here if I create another curve there by making a copy, as you can see, this curve is not the complement of these 2 curves. Since it is individual, it is independent, it is not creating the same edge, the same geometry. If I create a surface by these 3 curves, check this out, it is unaccepted. So the 3rd and the 4th curve should complete the previous curve. For example, I rotate this by this way, and then I create another curve which is connected to the others. And note that in the command of a surface, the curves could be not connected to each other. I'm not sure if you are familiar with the Gestalt theory. Look at these. Referring to Gestalt theory, they are portraying a triangle. But if I create the edge surface, check this out, then it gives us a regular surface. But if I connect these curves to each other, we will have a more accurate surface like this. Check this out. But if they weren't connected to each other, it doesn't matter. You can have your surface. Right now, suppose that we want to add the 4th edge, but we can't add it right here since here it is not the proper position for it. Since the 4th edge should complete the previous edges, so I should sketch it right here, as you can see. And as I told you before, you can have the curves unconnected. Watch this. But as we look at these curves, we perceive these as a rectangle, which got 4 sides or 4 edges. And then we can have the surface. Check this out. And then after creating the surface, we can press down F10 and then just other curves, and then modify or deform the surface by this way. Let us work on some more examples. Here I got a question for you. If I had such a geometry or such a curve, watch this part carefully please. Let me complete the image. Here can I use this geometry to create an edge surface? What do you think? Yes or no? If yes, why? If no, why? Of course, since we got more than 4 edges, so the answer is no. Look, we got more than 4 edges or sides. So have you got a solution to create a surface by using a surface? Here you should have 2 solutions or 2 approaches. The first one, Here we can sketch another line here by this way. So we will have two geometries or curves. Then we can have two surfaces. Watch this. But this is not supported, it is unaccepted. We should hide the previous one at first and then create the another one. Then I show the another one. Or you can create the surfaces individually or separately. And here there is no difference between these edges or curves. By this way, you can select them. This is the first approach or first solution. But the next one, I want you to tell me the second approach. What do you think? The better approach here is to select these lines and then join them. Then we will have a one curve and then join the two others. So we will have four edges. Check this out, 1, 4, 3, 4. Then we can apply edge surface. However, I do not guarantee to give you the desired surface. And we can try the other commands that we will learn them in the future sessions, like patch, that I will teach you later. But here there is a question. Can we create a surface by using the command of edge surface? By these curves or not? Are these the proper curves? Are they practical? Is it applicable to this? I can deform the point to have a 3D curve. What do you think? Yes or no? Of course not, but why? As I told you before, since we got more than 4 edges here, as you can see. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We got 6 edges. So I need to introduce, I want you to introduce 2 approaches to create a surface by using edge surface. The first one, yes, halving the curve into 2 parts or dividing it into 2 parts. Then we will have 2 curves. I select them and then I create edge surfaces. Then the other side. This is the first approach. And about the second one, that I expect you to introduce it or submit it, that I'm sure that you know it. We can join these 2 curves with each other in order to have 1 edge. Also the other side, I join the curves. Then we will have 4 edges or 4 sides, 4 open curves as you can see, not 6 open curves. Then we can easily create it to a surface by using edge surface command. And the line at the middle is because of the lines or the curves that they are not uniformed or they are not tangent to each other. If we had a unified curve, we wouldn't have the middle line at the center or the middle of the curve. And note that when you are joining these curves to each other with each other and then creating the surface by a surface, it doesn't necessarily give you the desired surface. So as a condition, we should try other commands that can create surfaces like patch, that I will teach you in the future session. We apply those commands too on, so we can check it which one is better, and then create the surface. So all in all, in this example, I wanted to teach you that at some situations we can create a surface by using a surface by joining the curves with each other and then fix the edges. I wanna exemplify another case. I got a homework for you named forest, that I wanna create or sketch the roof of the forest here actually and tell you the point. Watch this. As you can see, watch this part carefully to receive the message. So here I get back to Rhino and then in perspective view I wanna sketch the roof. Here as you can see, here we got 2 straight lines and 2 curves. I wanna tell you some points here. So I pick the polyline, then I start sketching, and for example like these 2 straight lines. Then for sketching the curve, I got a solution, which is using spline, the first point, and then the second point like this, and then I press down enter. Apparently we have sketched a straight line, as you can see. But if I wanted to have a straight line, why didn't I use polyline? What is the differences between these two? If I select it, we got 5 control points, but here we got only 3. It doesn't have the middle control points. So if I select this straight line and then I modify the control point, this will be the result. While if I select the another one, I can deform it, check this out, like a curve. So if at some conditions or situation we needed to create a curved line, you can have it straight at first and then curve it by moving the control points. Let me give you another example. For instance, here we got 2 straight vertical line. Then I want to have a curved line at the middle. Here if I start sketching, there's no point to specify the second point. At first I sketch it straightly, and then I select the control points and then I move them upward. So note this technique, since it is very practical and useful. I undo the process, well done, and then by using the same trick, I select these curve or line and then I select it, F10. Then I wanna move the point which is held in common, then I move it upwards by this way. Then we can create such a form. In the continuation, let us convert it to a surface, perspective view, and then I selected edge surface. Check this out, but it is not satisfying, you know. Well done. Right now I wanna do something else with these lines and to apply a trick in order to reach my goals. Edge surface, check this out. Check this out. What is the difference between these? Do you know? Did you get it? Did you even notice? What made the difference between these? I undo the process to show you again by this way. Then I move it and place it right here. Then I want to make some changes on this line, these lines, which is unseen, and then I create the surface. Look, here is the result. But did you understand? Here, as you can see, we got a smooth surface and regular. But what did happen? What did I do? What is the differences between these two curves that these two surfaces are different with each other? Could you guess what changes did I make? Of course, the point was in these two lines. When I was sketching these two curves, since I used polyline, they were joined with each other. So here we got 3 open curves, as you can see. Following that, I exploded these lines and you did not understand. So here we got 4 open curves. So it is important to know that in some situations the curves should not be joined with each other. Since in the previous examples we joined the curves to create the surface, but this time I have exploded them. I mean, we decide based on the condition to join or to explode the curves, since the joint affects on the form of the surface, but when we explode them, we will have a smoother and more regular surface. So as a result, we should put the joint into consideration. For example, here they should be exploded. I mean, you should learn to manage the curves and then decide the best action. Sometimes the line which we selected at first affects on the form or at the surface. Suppose that here we got these, then I continue sketching by this way. Then I wanna create a 3D curve. I don't need it planar. By this way. Well done. And then I curve this part, the base. Well done. I make some copies, 2 copies, edge surface. Then I start selecting them, firstly, secondly, and then the thirdly. Here's the surface. This time a different order, first, second, third. Look, different order again, 3. As you can see, these 3 are different, except the differences in iso curves. The forms are different too. Let me associate different colors to these surfaces, for example red. And then if I position them on each other to overlap, check this out, we can see the differences. Look, they are not the same. So the first curve which we selected in creating a surface by using Edgesrf does matter, and it affects on the form of the surfaces. I just wanted you to know it by this way. In the command of Edgesrf, the curvedness of the surface is not editable, and it is totally based on the form of the curves. Let me give you an example. For instance, here I sketch a square and then an arc like this. I consider the radius, and then by using array polar, I start the command meet array center, then 4 as number, 360 as the fill angle. Well done. Then I create a copy or duplicate. This time I wanna create a semicircle by this way. I hold down Control. We talked about all of this before. Polar array, then the center of the array, then number of the items and the fill angle. Then by using these 4 arcs, we wanna create edge surfaces. Watch this. I select them. Here we got a smooth and regular surface, but watch these. It is not satisfying and smooth. The height is too high, but we can't modify them. Since in Edgesrf we can't control, we got limitation in controlling the curveness of the surfaces, and it is being controlled by the form of the curves, and is totally based on the form of the curves. That in the future sessions we will work on other commands in order to reach to the desired curveness for the surface, but this time I want you to practice the given lesson. Then we can work on actual projects.